Mary was traveling to the northern lands not for mysticism at all. She was interested in human fears, legends, and how they reflect the collective memory of small settlements. The last bus dropped her off in a foggy, twilight forest 5 kilometers from the village. From there, she had to walk on soft earth, scattered with pine needles. The path was almost straight, yet it felt alien and unnaturally neat, as if it had been leveled not for tourists, but for some long-forgotten procession. Shiny lace ribbons hung from the trees, too ornate and too new to be village charms. It seemed they had been placed for an audience. When Mary finally saw the first houses of Lesnyanka, a strange feeling came over her, as if she had been expected there. A silent man she met on the outskirts only looked at her with a long, attentive gaze that carried neither approval nor judgment, rather, a cautious warning. He said only one thing: "Do not stay in the forest overnight." Then he left, without explaining why. Later, the landlady of the house where Mary rented a room spoke of the same thing, but her tone was completely different. She did not frighten, did not dramatize, but spoke quietly, almost in a whisper, as if describing a phenomenon everyone accepted as part of life. Somewhere deep in the forest could be heard claps, laughter, and music reminiscent of a circus. But no one had ever seen the circus itself, only heard it. It appeared rarely, always in the fog, and it never caused direct harm, but it captured attention, thoughts, dreams. Listening to these stories, Mary did not feel fear, only a strange anticipation, as if something unusual truly awaited her ahead. Late at night, Mary stepped onto the porch to breathe the scent of pine after the rain. The fog lay thick on the ground, and through the whitish haze, only the nearest trees could be distinguished. That was when she noticed a silhouette, elongated, slender, dressed in an old-fashioned tailcoat that caught the moonlight in soft glimmers. The man approached almost silently, as if he were not walking on the ground but floating above it. He looked like a character from old circus posters of the early 20th century. Neatly buttoned, elegant gloves, perfect posture. His face bore a calm, confident smile of someone accustomed to the stage and the audience's gaze. He did not ask Mary's name, nor did he inquire about her affairs, as if he already knew the answers. He spoke softly and confidently. Tonight, there would be a performance in the forest. The path would lead her to him. Nothing to fear. The circus loves its guests. His words were simultaneously welcoming and unsettling. The fog thickened, and before Mary could ask a single question, the man seemed to dissolve into the white haze. He did not walk away. He did not hide among the trees. He simply vanished, as if an image on a screen had gone dark. Mary stared long in the direction where he had stood, trying to convince herself it was just a trick of light. But deep down, she already knew. The night would lead her to what was hidden in the forest. As the clock hands neared midnight, the forest grew quieter than during the day. Not a single rustle, not a snapping branch. Even the wind fell silent, as if watching Mary's every step. She took only a flashlight and a turned-on recorder. The ribbons on the tree branches guided her further, shimmering with a wet glow in the darkness. They appeared so carefully placed, as if they knew their role to point the way. The fog wrapped the space tighter and tighter, yet the path glowed with a faint, cold light that came neither from her flashlight nor from the moon hidden behind clouds. Mary felt a strange certainty with every step, as if an invisible force was guiding her forward. The sounds of circus music arose suddenly light, playful, yet too precise, as if recorded somewhere deep in memory. Within minutes, the music grew louder, and behind the trees, a gigantic tent appeared. The tent was enormous, and vivid scarlet and white stripes glowing from within. It looked completely new, yet it rose among centuries-old pines whose roots could not have been moved in a single night. The sign above the entrance read, "Forest Circus of Shadows. Today only a special performance." Inside, the tent proved much larger than its exterior suggested. The air smelled of smoke, resin, and something sweet, perhaps caramel, perhaps something entirely different. Crystal chandeliers under the dome burned with a dim blue flame, providing no warmth, but filling the space with a mysterious glow. The performers Mary saw did not resemble ordinary circus people. Their movements were too smooth, their bodies too flexible, their shadows too alive. The girl with translucent skin moved her arms with such grace. It was as if she had no bones. The man with the changing face seemed to show dozens of different emotions simultaneously, as if existing in no single form. The small acrobat left behind a shadow twice his own height. There were no applause, no spectators, only Mary and a troupe that seemed composed of living illusions. And in the center of the arena stood him, the man in the red tailcoat from the night before. Severian. He seemed to glow from within, and the entire circus responded to his presence. Mary felt it. He was not a performer, nor a master in the ordinary sense. He was the center of this place, its heart, and perhaps its prisoner. After the performance, Severian led Mary backstage, a vast tent filled with old costumes, posters, and props from other eras. Here, time seemed frozen. In the photographs, the same circus appeared, but the performers looked alive, real, earthly. Severian spoke calmly, as if he had longed to share the truth. Once, it had been an ordinary traveling circus, loved by the public. They had been caught in a storm and lost in these forests. But the forest did not kill them. It transformed them, preserving their dreams, their talents, their desire for the stage. It replaced their bodies, giving them forms that matched their inner worlds. Without spectators, the circus vanishes, becoming part of the fog. With spectators, it awakens. That is why they appear rarely and briefly. Yet one question remained more important than others. Why were they waiting specifically for Mary? On the last page of an old notebook was a drawing of a girl astonishingly similar to her. Severian explained, the forest had seen her long before she decided to come. Sometimes it chooses those capable of understanding its language. Mary listened without fear, only sensing that her own fate was somehow tied to this place more deeply than she had ever imagined. The next morning, Mary awoke to a quiet rustle. Not wind, not birds, but as if light steps on soft ground beneath the tent. She went downstairs and discovered the dome was empty. No one. Yet the floor was covered with tiny objects, miniature animal figurines, pieces of cloth, colorful beads. All were carefully arranged, as if left for her to understand something important. Mary walked along these lines, sensing they led not to a physical place, but rather traced a path, a journey within. Every step evoked a strange feeling, as if the forest and the circus were speaking to her through details. The deeper she went, the stronger she felt Severian's presence. He was everywhere, yet nowhere visible. The path of beads and figurines led her to an old mirror standing in the corner of the tent. The reflection seemed alive, but distorted. Instead of her usual appearance, Mary saw herself as an acrobat, with delicate wings that could appear and disappear at will. The mirror whispered, without words, "You are here because you can see what is invisible." Mary understood. The forest and the circus were testing her ability to notice the hidden, recognize magic in the ordinary, and listen not with her eyes, but with her heart. By day, the circus appeared empty, but Mary sensed someone watching. She noticed shadows moving independently of people. One shadow, lion-like, prowled quietly as if guarding the passages. Another, small and playful, jumped along the tent walls, leaving faint traces of glow. Each shadow carried a distinct story. The shadow of the girl, with translucent skin, mirrored her movements, showing that her freedom depended on her inner world. The acrobat's shadow stretched, creating bridges across empty space, reminding her that the impossible is merely a matter of perception. Mary began to understand. The circus was not just magical, it followed its own logic. There were no ordinary rules of time and space. The performers she had seen at night were only part of the whole, their true essence hidden in the shadows, while they themselves were an extension of the forest and its secrets. At dusk, Mary heard ancient melodies from a dark corner of the tent. These were sounds that could not exist in the ordinary world. A mixture of children's laughter, the crackle of candelabras, the rustle of fabric costumes. The sounds filled the space and seemed to invite Mary on a stroll through past events. She walked across the arena and saw images. A little girl stepping onto the arena for the first time, a bearded man painting circus posters, old performers who were no longer alive, but whose smiles remained on the tent walls. These memories were not frightening. They were soft, touching, tinged with melancholy. Mary realized the circus preserves memory. It holds not only the troupe, but every moment of their lives, every emotion, and it entrusted her with this memory, testing if she was ready to understand the depth of their existence. Moving among the shadows, Mary noticed tiny doors, barely visible on the tent walls. Opening them, she entered worlds that did not obey the laws of physics, forest paths that changed before her eyes, ponds reflecting not faces, but feelings, rooms filled with light, though it was dark outside. Each portal was a lesson. It showed that reality was multi-layered and that seeing one thing meant missing another. Mary realized that the circus and the forest were closely intertwined. The forest created the magic. The circus preserved and directed it. And the spirit guiding this world, Severian, was the conductor, tasked with maintaining harmony between layers of reality. At the end of a long passage, Mary stopped. Before her was a curtain whose thickness absorbed the light. She knew that behind it lay the place where the circus's secret was hidden. Suddenly, she felt not fear, but an unusual calm. The forest and the circus trusted her. And now it was time to understand more than mere rules and tricks. Severian appeared again, not to speak. His figure emerged in the lantern light, gently illuminating the way. He did not talk. He showed through gestures, glances, movements, what Mary needed to do at this moment to approach the truth. The moment stretched, and silence filled the tent. It was the breath of the circus itself, its pause before the main act. Mary felt that the revelation was near, and that it would determine not only her understanding of the circus, but also her own place in this magical world. Behind a heavy curtain, Mary found herself in a room filled with books and scrolls. Every shelf seemed to breathe the circus's history posters from past years, performers' diaries, costume sketches, tent blueprints, and performance notes. The library felt almost alive. Pages whispered, and sheets turned on their own when Mary approached. She sensed that each book was a fragment of Severian's memory and that of his troupe. Here were records of the earliest performances, of people the forest had claimed into its shadows, and of those who had left, leaving only their images behind. A scroll caught her particular attention, a depiction of a girl resembling Mary performing an acrobatic trick mid-air. Marginal notes read, "Chosen to understand the fine line of reality." The library offered no direct answers, yet it guided her. Mary realized that the circus does not choose randomly, and now she was part of this story. As night fell, the tent's dome filled once again with a gentle glow. But this time, Mary noticed not only the performers, but also trails leading to mysterious lights in the forest. They were no ordinary lamps, floating luminous spheres that shifted shape as they hovered. Mary followed them, and the forest responded to her presence. Trees bent to clear a path. Mist formed a soft corridor, as if the forest and the circus together were creating a stage just for her. Each movement of the glowing spheres was accompanied by music quiet, almost imperceptible, yet enchanting. She understood. This was an invitation to uncover a secret, not a game. At the end of the path, Mary stopped before a mirror. But this one was different, deeper, more transparent. In it, Severian revealed not his face, but the circus as a living being. She saw how each performer was connected to the forest, how shadows became bridges between worlds, and how the circus's magic depended on the observer. He did not speak, but Mary understood. Severian was not merely the master. He was a spirit, preserving the circus and the troupe, their memory and creativity. And every visitor chosen here was selected by the forest to witness the truth and safeguard it. Mary felt a strange relief. There was no need for fear. Her task was to understand and observe, to become part of this magic without disturbing its harmony. The next day, Mary noticed that some tent doors had vanished, replaced by new corridors that had never existed before. She walked carefully, realizing that the circus was testing her attention and her ability to distinguish reality from illusion. Every step was a trial. She saw scenes from the past and the future, felt the emotions of performers who had never left this forest. Sometimes it seemed as if the shadows whispered their secrets, while the music swirled around her, weaving an invisible web. Mary understood. Trust was the key. If she trusted the forest and the circus, she would uncover all its secrets. If she succumbed to fear or doubt, she would be lost in their labyrinth forever. Deep within the tent, Mary encountered a shadow that seemed alive and independent. It moved regardless of her actions, sometimes mirroring her, sometimes creating new movements. Mary realized that this was one of the old circus performers, whose essence now existed only as a shadow. The shadow did not speak, yet Mary felt its emotions: longing for past performances, joy in creative flight, and the desire to be understood. For the first time, she sensed that the circus was not merely a stage, but a state of mind, where every motion and every feeling became a living story. At nightfall, the tent filled with light, not from lamps, but from the performers themselves. They danced, weaving patterns of light and shadow that narrated the circus's story, its birth, travels, transformations, and the magic of the forest. Mary watched, holding her breath. Every movement of the performers was both a mystery and a key. She understood that the circus lived through the mutual understanding and attention of the audience, and that her role in this world was significant. She also felt that the more she observed, the more the circus revealed itself. Secrets that once seemed inaccessible now became clear, yet in a mysterious form, leaving space for imagination. Mary noticed that the tent walls began to reflect her movements imperfectly. In the mirrors, she saw versions of herself slightly distorted, with varied expressions, wearing the circus performers' costumes. Each reflection seemed to whisper, "Choose your path." The corridors became a labyrinth where she could get lost, but every mirror offered a clue. She realized the circus was testing her inner rhythm, her ability to discern truth from illusion. With each passing minute, Mary felt increasingly that she was no longer merely an observer. She was becoming part of the circus, part of a story that spanned centuries, preserving the memory of every performer and audience member who had ever entered. Deeper in the tent, Mary heard music that belonged to no single instrument. It was voices, footsteps, laughter, rustling fabric, and the sound of wind all at once. The music told stories of the performers' births, their dreams, fears, and joys. Mary moved across the arena, following the sound, noticing how the space transformed under the melody's influence. The tent expanded and contracted. The arena became forest. The forest became stage. And performers' shadows came alive, creating new forms. She realized that music was not merely sound. It was the circus's language, a way to communicate with those willing to listen with their hearts. In the silence of one hall, Mary saw an old poster depicting the circus's first ensemble. The people on it were strangers, yet their eyes felt familiar. She understood that the circus began as an ordinary troupe, but the forest had imbued it with unique magic, preserving the memory of each member. Severian appeared nearby, silent. His presence explained much. Why the forest chooses its guests, why performers can exist outside time, and why only the chosen can see the circus's true face. Mary felt that understanding this history was key to finding her own place in the circus. She was no longer merely observing. She was learning to be part of a living, magical organism called the Forest Circus of Shadows. Severian showed Mary a small patch of forest beyond the tent. The trees were older than ordinary forests, their roots entwined as if forming an invisible network. He demonstrated how the circus used the forest. Every sound, every movement, every memory was preserved in the trees. The forest did not destroy but transformed, turning fears and joys into magical elements of the circus. Mary realized that the forest and the circus were a single system. Every guest, every performer, and every shadow became part of this harmony, even if they did not fully comprehend it. On her way back to the tent, Mary noticed strange marks on the ground. Small drawings, patterns, symbols. They seemed random at first, but she realized they were a code, a hint on how to navigate the circus space. She began studying them, following line after line. The symbols revealed paths to secret rooms, new performers, and hidden doors. Mary understood. The circus was not merely alive. It communicated with those capable of understanding its language. The more she read the signs, the clearer it became. Severian was not an enemy, but a guide, helping her through the labyrinth of magic to uncover the circus's greatest secret. At the next performance, Mary saw not only the performers, but also their reflections in the air. These reflections were like independent beings. They mirrored the performers' movements, but sometimes altered them, creating new images and stories. Mary realized the circus did not simply put on a show, it created alternate worlds, reflections of the possible and impossible. And her presence made this possible. A slight chill ran through her, not fear, but awareness. Her role in this world was more significant than she had imagined. Now she had to choose how deeply to immerse herself in the circus's secrets. At dawn, the forest fell silent again. Mary walked along the path back to the tent and noticed that the mist had shifted, forming lines and shapes as if showing her the way forward. The wind passed through the trees, and every sound became a clue. Mary understood. The circus and the forest spoke to her simultaneously, through music, light, movement, and shadows. She realized that to grasp all the secrets, she needed not only to observe, but to trust her intuition, to feel her connection to the space, the performers, and Severian's spirit itself. Mary found herself in the center of the tent, where light and shadow merged in a dance. The performers spun, creating lines and forms that were at once beautiful and mysterious. She understood. The circus lived because of interaction, light and shadow, past and present, magic and observer. Without an audience or guest, it remained only a memory. With her, it fully came alive. Severian stood aside, watching. He did not intervene, yet his gaze spoke volumes. Mary was now ready to understand more than ever before. In the center of the tent, Mary noticed a small portal, an almost imperceptible passage in the wall. She understood. This was the path to the circus's main secret. Every movement here mattered. The forest, the circus, the shadows, and the light all guided her, indicating that the path was not simple, but necessary. Mary took the first step, feeling that discovery awaited her ahead. In that moment, she sensed for the first time this entire magical world trusted her and accepted her as part of its story. Mary stepped into the portal, and the world around her changed. There were no familiar walls or arenas. Instead, the space consisted of light, flickering to form shapes and silhouettes reminiscent of past circus performances. Each glowing silhouette felt like a memory. Yet they did not simply repeat, they interacted, creating new stories. Mary realized the circus lived and evolved not only in the present, but across countless possible pasts and futures. Here, she felt Severian's presence more strongly than ever. His spirit was not that of a master, but of a guardian, showing the way through infinite possibilities, testing her attention and perception. Inside the portal, Mary saw countless mirrors, each reflecting her at different ages and with different abilities. She saw herself as an acrobat, a musician, an artist, but also as a spectator entering the circus for the first time. These reflections seemed to say, every action leaves a trace, every emotion becomes part of history. Mary understood that the circus was not just a place, it was a living archive of souls, where every moment was preserved in infinity. The deeper she looked into the mirrors, the clearer it became. Her own life was now intertwined with this magical space forever. Mary noticed the shadows of performers, more alive than ever. They did not merely mimic movements, they created new stories. Among them, she saw figures she knew only from the library diaries. Old performers long gone, yet alive in their light and motion. They looked at her not with expectation, but with an invitation to understand their essence. Mary realized the circus preserved not only the physical, but the spiritual. Each shadow was a life kept within the magical space, and each shadow was ready to share its story with those willing to listen. In the heart of the portal, Mary found herself in an arena where light and shadow intertwined in dance. Music filled the space around her, not tied to instruments or voices, but creating the impression of a complete orchestra. Severian appeared once more, silent. He observed how Mary interacted with this space, testing whether she could become part of the circus's harmony. Mary felt that every movement she made influenced the light and shadow, creating new patterns and stories. She understood. To be part of the circus meant not only to see, but to feel, to direct attention, and to trust her own senses. Severian led Mary to the oldest part of the circus, the tent where the magic was born. Here were all the keys, symbols, signs, records, and the music of past generations. He showed her that every performer and every shadow contributed uniquely to the life of the circus, and that everything she had seen until now was only preparation for understanding the main truth. The circus is a living organism, sustained by the attention, trust, and emotions of those who come. Mary realized she was now ready to uncover an even deeper secret, one that connected the forest, the circus, and Severian's spirit. In the center of the tent, Mary saw a line of light leading to an invisible center. She walked along it cautiously, sensing that every thought and movement she made reflected in the space, creating new patterns. The light transformed into images, scenes of performances, moments of joy from the performers, shadows of spectators. Mary understood that the circus was created not only by the performers, but also by those who saw and felt it. In that moment, she felt complete trust in Severian and in the circus's magic. She was part of something far greater than she could have imagined. Suddenly, the space around her resonated with a new melody not heard by ordinary ears, but felt throughout her body. Mary realized it was the key to understanding the circus. She moved in rhythm with the music, and the light around her changed. New portals appeared. Old ones vanished. Shadows came alive, creating new forms. Every step she took became part of the circus's story. Mary understood that to truly grasp the forest circus of shadows, one must not simply observe, but participate, trusting their inner sense of rhythm and harmony. Severian showed Mary her own reflection in the center of the tent. It glowed softly, revealing her connection to the circus. Every emotion, glance, and movement influenced the space and the magic around her. He spoke no words, yet Mary understood. She was no longer just a guest. She was part of the circus, its guardian, observer, and creator, all at once. And in this revelation, she felt a lightness, fear, and doubt vanished. The circus trusted her, and she trusted it. Mary began to move with the performers and shadows, creating patterns of light, music, and shadow. The entire tent seemed alive. The walls breathed, the arena spun, and the music intertwined with her movements. She understood. The circus was not only past or future. It existed in the present, in every moment when someone observed, felt, and understood. Every movement of Mary became part of the story, and she herself became part of the living organism called the Forest Circus of Shadows. Finally, Mary approached the center of the tent, where light, music, and shadows merged into a single point. Here she saw the circus's ultimate secret. It lived through attention, trust, and harmony among all elements: the forest, the performers, the spectators, and Severian's spirit. Mary understood that her journey had only begun. She had the opportunity to become a guide, guardian, and participant in this magic, preserving it for future generations. Feeling complete unity with the space, she took the first step into a new world, where every movement, every feeling, and every glance held meaning. Mary entered the very heart of the tent, the space where light and shadow became a single flow. Here she saw the core of the circus's magic, a radiant crystal pulsing to the rhythm of music, each pulse creating the performer's movements, patterns of light, and even the breath of the forest. Severian appeared beside her, his figure soft, almost transparent. He said nothing, but his gaze conveyed, "You are ready to understand the true essence." Mary felt that the circus was a living organism, and her role within it was greater than she had imagined. She reached out to the crystal and felt the circus's energy flow through her body. She realized that every performer, every spectator, and every shadow were threads woven into the pattern of eternal magic. Suddenly, the space around Mary shifted. Beams of light twisted. Shadows danced and merged into a pattern reflecting the entire history of the circus from its first performances to the present moment. She felt herself becoming part of this pattern. Every movement, every thought influenced the shape and color of the light, while the shadows responded to her emotions. Mary understood. The circus existed not only as a place, but as a state of the soul, where harmony between light and shadow, past and present, created true magic. Severian watched silently, his presence offering guidance and support, not control. Performers and shadows surrounded Mary, inviting her into the dance. The music grew stronger, deeper, and she felt each note, not with her ears, but with her heart. She moved with them, and the space around her became a kaleidoscope of images. The forest, the arena, the tent's dome, portals, and mirrors of time. all existed simultaneously, creating the sensation of an endless stage where every story lived forever. Mary realized this dance symbolized that the circus lived through the attention and harmony of everyone who engaged with it. She was no longer just a guest, she had become part of it. After the dance, the light gradually calmed. The shadows returned to their places, and the forest beyond the tent grew quiet and soft again. Mary felt deep serenity within herself. Severian approached her, and for the first time spoke softly, without pressure. Now you know. You are part of this story, and it is part of you. Cherish it. Observe, learn, and help preserve the harmony. Mary understood that her journey in the circus was only beginning. She accepted her role as guardian and participant, realizing that the magic of the forest circus of shadows lived through those willing to feel, understand, and trust. At dawn, Mary stepped out of the tent onto the forest path. The mist was clearing. Little lights danced around her, and a gentle breeze carried whispers of music and the laughter of performers. She knew the circus would not disappear. It would wait for those ready to see its secret, feel its magic, and become part of this extraordinary story. Mary walked along the path, but now every step was filled with knowledge and trust, her heart glowing with the sense of unity with the living organism called the forest circus of shadows. And somewhere deep in the forest, among the lights and shadows, Severian smiled, knowing that his circus had once again found its true guardian.